Hey guys, just wanted to do my review for Arrow Season 6, Episode 15, called Doppelganger. And this has, again, this didn't go the way I would expect. I thought I predicted, the title of the episode would imply. I mean, yes, there was some focus on Black Siren, but I thought there was going to be like maybe some kind of flashback or more backstory to her stuff on Earth 2 because Katie Cassidy mentioned that we're supposed to get some backstory about Black Siren from when she was on Earth 2, but apparently this focuses more on continuing from the cliffhanger from last week in which she was found by somebody while she's still like recovering from a gunshot wound and saying that she was claiming to be the Earth One Laurel and saying she was kidnapped 2 years ago. 2 years ago, Team Arrow gets wind of what she's doing, and they try to stop her from going to the press. But she's already having her own like, mini press conference at CC at Star City PD, and telling them, claiming that she was the Earth One Laura Lance. She never died. She didn't die in the prison break. That she was just kidnapped by Damien Dark and drugged and held captive for 2 years, and puts on this whole act for the city that I gotta say, like between that and the whole like interrogation room scene she has with like Oliver, Quentin, and Thea is probably like some of Katie Cassidy's best acting on the show. And also, I mean, along with some of the stuff she did last week, and she's of course like doing the crocodile tears and going over to Oliver and Quentin, hugging them and saying like, "Oh, I thought I'd never see you guys again." And they're and that the press starts questioning is like, "Okay, you said that Laura was the Black Canary when she died, when she quote unquote died, and when you thought she died. So if she's Black Canary and all the rumors about the green you being the Arrow true, does that mean you're the Green Arrow after all?" And so Oliver and company take Black Siren out of the room, and basically she blackmails them into saying that she's going to keep up with this stint for the general public or else she'll just out Oliver and possibly the whole team if they don't go along with it, and they don't really have much choice. Dinah, of course, is understandably pissed about it. Is just trying to, take on the investigation about her Laurel's supposed like resurrection, quote unquote, and trying to find proof that prove that what Black Siren's impersonating her doppelganger. But the thing is she's not able to do that just because one, she's taken from her hospital room by a cop who's on Diaz's payroll and taken to like I guess a ring. Is not too happy about it. She's taken to I guess like I guess like a stadium, not a stadium, a boxing ring or an auditorium with like a little boxing ring, and where Diaz is fighting some men as part of training to show that he is like they imply it is not to his like martial arts background in the comic books. And apparently Anatoly's like decided to knows about what he did to Caden James and gets in league with him just because one, he's greedy and out for revenge against Oliver because for losing for getting him kicked out of the Bratva. And it was, even Black Siren is like, "Are you?" And he gets called out on that multiple times, but not just Black Siren. It's like, okay, he manipulated both of us and just like going along with this. And even Oliver calls him out for just becoming some just like petty thug for hire, and he just becomes defensive and says, "It's like, well, the situation is what it is. The situation is what it is," and blames Oliver for what's happened to him and having to be in this position in the first place. And Diaz like goes some grand speech to his men, saying is like, when you work together as when you work together as a family, it reflects all of us, but when you have a weak link, it breaks everybody down. and she tries to sweet talk Black Siren into, you joining joining his ranks, and kind of a whole "you scratch my back, I'll scratch yours" deal. But Black Siren instead goes to Team Arrow and tells them about what Diaz is doing and how he's kidnapped Roy Harper, and that he's actually going to be, because Roy, basically because Renee's incapacitated from last week, and the only scene we have with Curtis is basically him updating Zoe about what happened. That so like I was kind of glad that we didn't have any, that it was going to be focused more on Roy's stuff, because it's like I'm just sort of done with new Team Arrow at this point after last week. Dinah like seems like she's become more level headed, although I'm still like I'm at the point where I just don't like either Black Siren or Dinah, just because of like how she's been acting. Although it seems like she's able to get her head out of her ass long enough to help Oliver when they realize that Roy's kidnapped by corrupt cops on the SCPD, and they start to connect the dots and realize that a huge chunk of the a huge chunk of the a bunch of those cops are basically on. He's more or less bought out. Like a huge Diaz is brought, has a huge, a bunch of the cops are on their payroll on his payroll basically, and it's like the corruption goes deeper or even farther than the corrupt cops he had to deal with for season 5, which is more of a more of a minor storyline. Now it's just like they don't know how deep the connection runs, so he tells Quentin and Dinah to play nice and to look into it. Thea realizes she kind of gets like pretty emotional and impatient when she realizes Roy's been kidnapped, and Diaz is trying to torture and force Roy into testifying against Oliver. And so they make multiple rescue attempts. The first one's not so successful, and Thea's pissed and is pissed and so hellbent on getting Roy back, because she feels like her life has basically fallen apart ever since he's exited his life with the drama with Malcolm Merlin, the side effects of the Lazarus Pit, and Oliver still blaming himself and saying that he felt it was his fault that Roy had to sacrifice his own life, or give up his own life just for his. I mean, not in the physical sense, but and I have to be able to keep reminding him is like he made that choice. He's the one who decided to claim that he was the Arrow just so you wouldn't be behind bars the rest of your life. And they managed to successfully rescue Roy. I mean, and even though they catch Anatoly, and because of all the corrupt cops on SCPD, he's probably gonna get released and be back on the streets. And Diaz warns that it's like there are already plenty of corrupt cops on my payroll, and even without the corrupt cops on Diaz's payroll, he warns Green Arrow and that he knows that, and they both know that the ones that are not on his payroll are basically going to come after Green Arrow anyways, because of the new anti-vigilante bill that got passed as a result of Caden and what eventually Diaz's manipulations. So he has to live to fight another day. Basically, Green Arrow flees and Diaz is free to go. But Oliver does tell Thea that if she encourages after this whole thing blows over to actually leave with Roy, and believing that she deserves the same happiness with him that he has with Felicity, which is something that she wasn't expecting him to say, but you can tell that she's seriously contemplating it. And it turns out Oliver goes to check on it on Black Siren and says, I I guess to thank her for the intel, and that he's going to keep a close eye on her. And she just says, if I'm going to be this new, pretend to be Laurel Lance, I might as well start acting more like your Laurel Lance, and you might as well start giving me the chance to prove myself. Oliver says fine, but then she gets a text from Diaz saying good work, and realizing she's acting as a mole. So, I mean, I'm disappointed, but like not too surprised, considering is fucking Mark Guggenheim. He's proven time and time and again to not only to do he's prone to just overhyping the hell out of everything, but also just to be do Michael Bay levels of trolling to the audience, and just to kind of just like string people along and getting people's hopes up that, hey, maybe she'll be redeemed, maybe she won't. But it's like, okay, sir, you got to give us a crappy version of Civil War. You give us a crappy version of the Grant Ward storyline, where it's like he's kind of playing both sides. But at least with him, that he's evil, but he's like, he has no, his moral compass is so screwed up that he just likes playing both sides, and is like such a sociopath. At least with Black Siren, there's this whole like will they or won't they thing with whether she's going to turn over a new leaf. And by last week's episode, I was just like so disgusted with so many characters that I was just kind of tired of it. It's just like, I give up. I'm done. Like, I'm disappointed, but I'm not surprised. But I guess it is what it is. I'm just tired of being strung along. If she's going to be evil, make her evil. If she's going to be good, make her good. Just stop like with this whole like back and forth, because I'm tired of it. Like, I just don't care anymore. I just don't care either way at this point. Anyway, it was always great to see Roy, Colton Haynes, awesome as always. It just feels like, I mean, granted, he didn't get to interact with the team as much because he was basically being held hostage most of the time, but the last scene was him, in spite of apparently having broken ribs, that's not going to stop him from having sex with Thea and being watched by the villain for the next episode, Athena, who's basically a former League of Assassins member who wants to get her hands on some kind of heirloom left by Malcolm Merlin to Thea, and this is going to come into town trying to, I guess, like, come to Team Arrow's aid. So it might look like a standalone episode, but at least it'll be a cool standalone episode. We get Roy with more Roy, more Nyssa, apparently, a League of Assassins resurgence. So it'll be interesting. It just sucks that we have to wait to like the week after next for that episode to come. But otherwise, just the first 10 minutes alone were already better than the garbage episode from last week. And as a whole, this was a much better episode than last week, aside from the whole Laurel thing. But anyway, guys, what do you think about the episode? You are happy to see Roy back? Were you surprised by the whole Laurel thing? Okay, you probably weren't. Were you hoping that maybe she actually wouldn't be a villain for the season? Leave your thoughts in the comments down below. If you like this video, like, share, and subscribe, and I will talk to you guys soon. Take care.